welcome to Sports Connection. I'm Darrin Joins, Williamson County Schools Athletic Director. Tate, welcome back after a week sabbatical.
Yes, glad to be back.
You're probably getting nervous a little bit about your replacement, that you might be full-time replaced.
Well, long-time show fan and critic. Also moonlights as a color analyst for WCTV, Paul Brees. He filled me in, told me nothing to worry about, brother. He said it was good, but...
Oh, saying that your job's secure.
Job was secure.
Oh, let's don't tell Dr. Qualls. He'll be hurt.
No. That's what I told him. But Brees filled me in. I know it went well, and I did notice you let him wear the boat captain hat. And
he wouldn't put the pipe in his mouth, though. He's nervous about the germs.
Well, good. He should be. That's my pipe. Popeye didn't share his pipe with anybody.
That's true.
By the way, and this is the only time I'm going to get off. Did you see the film, the clip of the clip of Canadian Family Feud version? And it's overtime, and the final question is Popeye's favorite food, and the girl hits it, and she goes, chicken, and starts dancing, and the crowd and everybody goes, the correct answer is Spanish. It was awesome.
And they had a chance to win?
They would have won.
That's surprising they had a chance.
Thousands, yeah. It was pretty bad.
All right, Tate, let's talk some bowling.
Canadian Family Feud, though.
Let's talk some bowling here.
I love bowling.
Big week of bowling. And by the way, this week's gym, for the first time ever, all 4 teams in the championship, region championship I'm talking, Williamson County Schools teams.
Yeah, very cool.
So we had
the dominance continues.
Oh, and now we're taking over bowling.
Bowling.
Page defeats Franklin 17-10 on the girls' side, Brentwood 14, Franklin 13 on the boys' side. And, let's start off with that Page match. And you got to be impressed now. I don't know if you saw this.
I did.
Coach Brian Magucci and Eric Barnes are co-coaches. Last year they had 6 players, bowlers, right?
Yeah.
They take over. They start saying, hey, let's just try to get any athletes in the school or anybody in the school that wants to play. And they have like 64 come to tryouts.
Yeah. And
you fast forward a year and they're the region champs.
Region champs. And I thought the coolest.
And they're into it, by the way.
They're into it. And I thought the coolest thing about it was, because, that's one thing I'm big on, like multi-sport athletes. And the cool thing is they went out and got soccer players and tennis players and obviously not basketball players, but probably, they went and got other athletes. I can assure you Magucci and Barnes know nothing about bowling, but they know how to organize teams and they know how to coach. And I think it's very, very cool, man. I thought that was a great article. And I love the part that they're other athletes, and they I think it's a big thing for another sign that if you can get guys inside the building to coach your teams, it's always a plus because they're around the kids, man.
That's right.
Where did they recruit? You did it for years. Where did they recruit these kids? In the halls, the lunchroom.
That's right.
And then they win the region championship.
Where maybe it's tougher to get kids to play.
Yeah, and the thing I love about it is I don't know how they did it. But we all know, because we've gone, I mean, it's hard to bowl,
It is.
There's nothing worse than being on that 8th frame and knowing there's a chance I'm not going to break 100 here.
Or maybe not even knowing how to keep score. Daphne Pruitt led the way. She was 3-0 in that match with Franklin with a 219 high.
Yeah.
On the boys' side, what a great match. It came down to total pins, by the way.
Yes.
And that's like worth 2 points, I think, at the end. So it was 13-12 Franklin. Total pins for the 3 matches that they play. Brentwood wins that, so they go on to win 14-13. And you have a gem for Drake Austin and Coleman Bryant, right? Who were both 3-0 in that match.
Both 3-0. Drake in the semis versus Overton bowled a high of 279. So we need to do some research. I don't know where that's almost all strikes. I mean, I don't know where he had a little bit of a hiccup. I'd love to know what that is. And then Coleman Bryant, 222. We mentioned this at the Wilcos last year with Drake Austin, who is, I believe, the defending Wilco champion of Bowler of the Year. In their formative years, both were members of the 8 and under Brentwood Civitan Nationals champions. My dad and I were the coaches. I was
that bowling?
Pitcher. Brentwood Civitan baseball, man. So formative
So what's
years.
the relationship?
I knew at a very early age both Drake and Coleman had the eye of the tiger. And I really think I did a great job along with my father of trying to bring that out of them. Obviously, it's transferred over to the bowling lanes.
It has, and so I was going to congratulate Brian Popovich, the head coach, but I'm going to go with Tate Mathews.
He's molded them.
The job well done.
But all kidding aside, think about this. Think about how good your team is when you bowl a 222 and you're not the high on your team. And you're not the high on your team by 50 points.
Incredible. Coach Ted Logan doing a good job there with Franklin as well. They've kind of been the team when you're talking about boys and girls, and both make it all the way to the region championship. Unfortunately, all 4 teams did lose in the sectional, but that's sort of next step. The teams they lost to in the sectionals are all programs that have been around a while. In fact, at the state level, Coach Logan at Franklin was telling me that Hardin Valley, that they do like a trip in the 4th grade. It's like a school trip, and they're like recruiting for bowling in that trip. They go to like a bowling lane. So we got to catch up there, but if it's like the other sports, we will.
They probably go to the one off Cedar Bluff, you know.
I have no idea where that's at.
That's where I grew up.
Is that one nice?
No. Kings Bowl is much nicer.
Okay.
Serves a purpose.
So congratulations to all those bowlers. Let's talk wrestling. Some duels matches this week. Franklin defeats Ravenwood 45-29. Page over Summit 47-22. And here's one I attended. Brentwood defeats Centennial 37-33. What a great match. And so Centennial led.
Yes.
And, you know, they draw somehow on which match is going to start. So Skylar Coffey, who's won every match by pin. So you're looking at that going, okay, Skylar's probably going to win, and he's probably going to win by a pin. So to me, I'm watching going, all right, Centennial's got to be ahead by more than 7 or more when he comes up, or it's going to be tied or worse.
Very good, by the way. That's very impressive.
So it was 33-19 at some point. There was a match that flipped, and I wish I knew, I could tell you who the competitors were, but the Centennial wrestler was up 6-2, and then Brentwood gets a pin all of a sudden. So that sort of flipped that particular match, and really the match in general. And then the last match of the night, it was 33-31 Brentwood. Centennial had a what's that called? Forfeit.
Technical, forfeit.
A forfeit because someone was over in weight.
Yeah.
Which is part of that deal.
You know it going ahead of time. I mean, you know it going in. With all the things that they've done now with the way they regulate weight loss, it's a little bit harder for that to happen, but yeah.
Nobody's sucking ice and wearing a glad bag.
Running and riding the stationary bike. Hey, cutting their hair.
Yeah.
That used to happen. But yeah, man, to put it in basketball terms, or to put it in football terms, that pin you're talking about, you know, a win, as long as it's not a majority decision, is 3 points.
Right.
A pin's 6. So that's like hitting a 3, getting a steal, coming down, hitting another 3, and getting fouled, you know, or it's a pick 6 in football. You were there. That was a great environment.
Great atmosphere.
Yeah.
Great.
It's a momentum changer, and so that's exactly right. That's what those guys do. At some point, Coach Smith, Damon Smith of Brentwood, and Coach Philip Pelkey of Centennial, they sit there with their guys, and they'll talk through it with them. All right, Darrin, you just can't, you know, we know you can't beat him. You just can't get pinned. You know, Tate, you got to win by 3 or whatever.
Yeah.
Obviously, whoever was with Skylar, obviously they were probably counting on 6 points there, but they do that. Like they map that out. And then when something doesn't go as planned, that's where you have trouble. But I've thought all year long Brentwood was the best team, and I don't mean that the rest of them are really good. I thought they were the best team in Wilco this year. That just goes to show you Centennial's really good, really good.
Cooper Finch also sort of in that class of Coffee as well in terms of winning. He wins his match by pin as well. And he was another one. His match was a little bit later.
Right.
So Brentwood caught up pretty quick.
You know, going in with them, Finch, Feldhacker, and Coffee are all wins 99% of the time, and usually pins. So
which is
if you think about
points.
it that way, you're already down 18 points.
Right. Yeah, it makes it tough. Summit finished second in the West Creek Invitational, and this is probably more of a testament to how impressive a finish that was. Wilson Central wins, and Beach finishes third. So Summit finishes ahead of Beach, right behind Wilson Central. So great tournament for them. Tate also, and we mentioned some of these last week as well, the Tennessee sports writer All-State. And what Dr. Qualls and I talked about this, it's really kind of the one in terms of All-State. Before we get to that, though, Gatorade Player of the Year, the 5th different player to get it at Brentwood High School volleyball, Shea Eggleston. So congratulations to her for winning that award. And by the way, if she didn't win, I mean.
Well, not only that, but they're 5th, and she's the 2nd young lady from that family.
That's right.
I mean, that's unbelievable. We're not talking about All-State. I mean,
that's the Gatorade Player of the Year for the state.
For the state.
The person.
Yeah, we're not just on AAA here. You are. They're saying you're the best player.
That's right.
In the state.
Hard to argue that too.
Yep.
The TSWA All-State Volleyball from Brentwood, Shea Eggleston, Piper Drozic, Haley Sanders from Franklin, Jillian Amsler from Ravenwood, Carly Cooper. At the AA level, Avery Young and, excuse me if I say this wrong, Lauren Stark. It's either Stark or Starkey. I was corrected on our show we did, so sorry I didn't look that up,
I'm
Lauren.
going Stark, but.
Let's go Stark.
What's Game of Thrones in that one, the House of Stark? Whatever.
Soccer All-State, AAA. Kate Devine from Brentwood, Haley Hanna from Brentwood, Tori Case from Ravenwood, also Morgan Green for Brentwood. So in those 2 sports, Brentwood has 6 at the All-State level. In AA, Tristan Wepking, and then in golf, and by the way, golf, there was only 5 in each class, so this is really an elite group.
Yes.
Jackson Wilcox from Franklin, Shelley Yang from Ravenwood. So congratulations to all of those athletes for being named All-State.
All of it is awesome. Congratulations to all of them. As usual, you could almost have the All-State team just take Coach Campbell's starting lineup and what is it called, transpose it. But here's
and
what
now maybe Nowensville.
Well, Avery Young, sophomore.
Wow.
She might not even have a driver's license during the season.
Oh, yeah, no, wait a second. She got her permit the day we did the show.
That's crazy.
She went in that morning.
Yeah.
With the state championship trophy with her.
Obviously, she got all of her athletic ability from her mother.
Obviously. Hadn't even met her mother, but I'm sure it's true.
If you've ever seen Coach Brett Young, her father, jump, he was definitely a setter.
All right, let's talk hoops now. A lot shaking out in hoops, Tate. Let's talk 11 AAA standings. Brentwood still atop the league, 7-0. Page and Dixon with only 1 loss each. Independence 5-2, Ravenwood 4-4. Then Summit, Spring Hill, Franklin, Centennial to follow. So it's shaking out a little bit. It's looking like Brentwood, Page, and then maybe Dixon, Indy fighting for that 3rd place, which matters, by the way, because if you're 4th, it's looking like you're going to be playing, or 5th. Summit might be in that 4-5 game, and I think that's going to be a tough out if Summit ends up there.
Yes.
So,
well,
and maybe the favorites if, those players are back.
That's what I was going to say. You got to think they're going to be healthy by then. So a lot could change in the next month.
Let's talk about our WCTV game of the week, which was Brentwood at Independence. Brentwood 64, Independence 39. I expected this one, Tate, to be a little bit closer.
Well, I think that goes to show just how good the Lady Bruins are. They haven't lost since, November the 13th, 2019.
13 wins in a row.
They lost to Innsworth, who's undefeated, and some people are saying national ranking. I don't know. I haven't seen them. I did too. But I think Independence is really up there in that top 4. I think Brentwood just showed how good they really are. And not just the scoring. You knew they were going to score points with Osgood and the 2 Trucials. But the way they played defensively, holding them under 40 and then really taking their best player out of the game, Banks, I think Brent was legit.
Well, and doesn't that say something about the job that Coach Glazner's doing that I open up with saying,
heck yes,
I'm surprised it wasn't closer, which,
yes,
you rewind a year ago, you would have probably expected about a 70-point win. No offense to Independence last year, but it's not the same team.
Well, no, that's what I think. But I think that was an eye-opener for his team too. They're up there in that upper half, no doubt about it. And it is. He's done a great job. He's got with Kayla Miller and Freeman and Banks, he's kind of got his 3 that can score double figures every night. But I think he can look them in the eyes and say, ladies, we're getting better. We're to be feared now, but we just saw last night what we got to get to.
Brentwood led on that particular night. No surprise, Amelia Osgood with 23, Delaney Trucial with 17, and Sophie Rawson. I saw this on their Twitter. that she is now the record holder
And blocks.
for block shots, and she's only a junior.
Yes. And
So
obviously her brother is Stone. It's cool to see all these brother, sister.
It is.
And you talk about Brentwood, man, but it shouldn't be that a surprise. Osgood's already got over 1,000. Emily Trushill's got over 1,000. Delaney's going to hit it within the next couple weeks. And I noticed between, I think it was Delaney, it was one of the Trushills and Osgood, they hit 8 3-pointers, just those two players. When that happens, you stand no chance.
13 threes on the night.
That sounds like a Darren Joins team.
They're good at math.
And speaking of, man, what a job Thrash has done, Coach Thrash.
He has.
He's done a really good job.
He has.
And you can tell those young ladies.
And replaced a legend.
Yes, they play hard for him. Maybe the legend in Wilco girls basketball.
He really is. To me, back when the league was maybe a one-team show, honestly, it was Brentwood all those years. Now there's several really good teams.
Yep.
So to me, he is kind of the legend in terms of basketball in this league, Coach Siegenthaler. Centennial 31, Ravenwood 46. Very close throughout, but Ravenwood outscores Centennial 17-7 in the fourth quarter. So they take a 5-point lead, end up winning by 10, which really, that's probably the difference between these two teams.
No,
Ravenwood's now 4-4 in the league. Centennial drops to 0-8. But those things seem to happen to you when you're 0-8. So Centennial's still looking for that first district win. And I'm telling you, outside of maybe Franklin and Spring Hill,
it's going to be tough.
It's going to be tough for them to get it.
Yeah. Two things. One, Lexi Erickson, she's kind of been called upon to carry the load this year.
And she's a junior, right?
Yes, and she's done it.
29 points.
Yeah, I don't know what she's averaging, but it's upper teens, wouldn't you think?
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
And then, Centennial, they were led by Sheraton Foster with 10. The only thing I think is, and we're going to talk about it in a bit, is I kind of look at this the way Dr. Qualls and I used to talk every week about the Lady Yellow Jackets at Fairview. You could see the scores getting closer and closer.
Yeah.
And now, we'll get to it later, you'll see what's happening. So it's more competitive, but I know it's still, it's got to be heartbreaking for them. But all they can do is keep showing up and getting better, and that first win's going to come.
Summit 39, Dixon 59. Tough week for Summit, taking on a really good Page team. They lose 46-38 on Tuesday night and then drop this game 39-59. In that Page game, led by Taylor Penning and Megan Easterday with 13, Megan with 10. And something about Summit, too, and I know it's frustrating right now for Coach Wild and Summit, Penning and Easterday maybe having to do a little bit more than they would have to do with Colson in there. But to me, that makes it that much easier for them when she gets back. If she can get back and play at a pretty high level, even 80 to 90% of what she typically does, they're really going to be tough.
I think so, too. And if you think about it, I mean, this is go back. It's been a while now. You go back to November. This is the same Summit team, when they're healthy, that broke the record for 3-pointers.
Yeah.
So when they get back full bullets, they're going to be ready.
In that Summit Page game, to mention the Page players, they didn't play on Friday, so I want to give them a shout-out too. Olivia Wilson, 7 points, 7 rebounds, 3 blocks. Lily Wilkin, 21. Mackenzie Cochran, 14. Franklin, to me, this was a surprise on the girls' side. Even though Spring Hill's playing better, certainly with the game being played at Franklin, I didn't anticipate a 46-62 loss for the Lady Rebels. Now they're slipping into 8th place, which now, if the season ended today, they've got to play in that 8-9 game. So that's that extra game just to really, it's not that you're getting into the tournament, but sort of.
Yeah.
By playing that 8-9 game.
It's almost like a play-in.
Well, it is.
It kind of is.
That really is what it is. So tough loss earlier in the week also to Dixon County, but they did get a really, some would say, a surprise win over Cane Ridge. I was out at practice the other day, still practicing hard. I think Coach Johnson still has their attention. Lauren McKnight with 12 points, Bergen Ali, Kate O'Neill with 11, Wren Doran 9. Now, the reason I mention that, there's 4 players right around double figures, 3 of them in double figures and 1 with 9. So I think the future's still pretty bright.
Spring Hill must have been red hot that night.
Well, and they're better. I mean, every coach will tell you that they're better. It's just a matter of they haven't won a ton, but certainly get that win over Franklin the other night. But they'll play again later, so we'll see. Let's move on to boys. 11 AAA. Brentwood and Dixon still sitting atop the league at 7-0, a full 3 games ahead of Centennial, Franklin, and Summit, who are all 5-3. Now, Brentwood Centennial had that snow date.
Yep.
So one of those teams is going to be 2 games ahead. One's going to be 3 ahead. If you go through the first round of games and you're 3 games ahead, you're going to finish first or second.
It'd be or have a
total
epic
meltdown.
collapse.
Well, think about this. Even at that, if you're 2 games up, if you lose 3 the second go around, whoever replaces you has to go undefeated.
Yeah.
So it's not likely that if you're sitting atop or even second, that you're going to even slip down to third. I mean, certainly if you're only 2 games ahead, you might slip to third.
Sure. Yeah.
But if you end up undefeated, you're probably not going to third place.
Negative.
So really playing well. In terms of recaps, the WCTV game of the week, Brentwood 44 at Independence 36. Let's start off with this, though, our WCTV play of the week.
Inside to Drennan. They'll cover him up, but Drennan able to dribble out of traffic and can't connect. Fought for by Walton, keeps it alive, and that was a foul.
Oh, what a pass, Jake Brock.
Nicely done. Jake Brock able to feed that one to his buddy Aaron Walton, and we have a tie ball game again, Paul Brees.
Absolutely, WCTV always bringing out the best.
Well, you heard Michael Williams and Paul Brees talking about it. Jake Brock to Aaron Walton. Now, here's the thing I love about it. Did you notice that hustle, getting over there, going down on the floor and getting the pass to him for the layup? Did you notice that?
I noticed it.
Jake Brock, name familiar to you?
Steve Brock.
Steve Brock, head track coach at Brentwood High. That's his son.
2-time
AAA state boys track head coach champions. By the way, he's only been the head coach 2 years. So
pretty good start.
He's also one of the football guys. But here's what I love about it. This Brentwood team, you know, we've talked about it all year long. They're gritty. They're tough.
They are.
And they've done it different ways through the years at Brentwood. But back when Coach Shirley first got there weren't a whole lot of football guys on the team. Both of these guys, Aaron Walton, that name familiar to you, both of them are football guys. And so this team, as you're talking about, they're undefeated in the district, and they're gritty, they're tough, and I think that's part of it, mixed in with some of their basketball guys. So, not that these guys aren't basketball players, but that was a heck of a player, man. Great hustle player, great hustle play by Jake, and you can tell this team's got a little toughness to them. What do you think?
Oh, they do, and they're down 8 at the half. They're down 1 at the end of the third, and they win. Tuesday night, and I think this goes back to their toughness and their belief in themselves, they're down 11 in the third quarter. It's the first play of the third. Down 8 at the half. Centennial starts the half with a 3. Brentwood's down 11, and it's not like they score a ton of points. They keep hanging in there. By the end of the game, they've tied it up, end up winning that game as well. So, you know, Brentwood, to me, their greatest trait, maybe other than their obvious really good chemistry, they've got great chemistry on that team, is their belief in themselves in terms of we're going to win.
Yep.
That's definitely the biggie for them.
And I've heard you guys talk about it back in your coaching days. Y'all have always said that about Brentwood kids. You know, if you let them hang around in the fourth quarter, it's going to be tough, man. And that's what they seem to do, right? Like on the flip side, Independence, their record doesn't show it, but they've had a lot of these games, man. They're leading going in. They just got to find a way to close them out. But you know, they're 2-5 in the district, but it's not like they've been getting blown out. They're in these games.
They are.
They could easily be above 500, but Brentwood, you're right. It's a cliche, but if you don't play all 4 quarters against Brentwood, you're going to get beat, period.
Coach Kyle's Independence team led by Rishi Salitri.
That's got to be the name of the year.
It is, and that's right, by the way.
I'm very impressed.
11 points, Matt St. Charles with 8. They did have that big win on Tuesday night over Spring Hill, 60-34. Centennial 53, Ravenwood 47. Ravenwood, kind of like that Independence team at their end games, and I'd say it for both, and maybe even more so Ravenwood. You don't want to look up in the first round of the district, you're playing Ravenwood.
Probably so.
Well coached. Those guys do what they're supposed to do in terms of trying to play the way Coach Whitlock wants them to play. Especially, you know, what I've looked at, how about a potential, and this could happen, by the way, Ravenwood, Brentwood in the first round.
That'd be awesome.
And Franklin Centennial.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Those are both
Rivalry
possible.
Friday all over again, right?
Man, you're talking about tight.
And the thing about Ravenwood is, you were talking about in the District 1, they got a guy in Rex Gaynor who can go for over 20 on you, right? They've got some of their football guys. They're starting to come into shape, and you saw it last year I know I was one of the ones who picked against them, and I heard about it, and I'm glad I did.
Twice in a row.
If you give Whitlock more than a couple of days,
right,
he's going to dive into that film. They're going to have a plan, and they're going to be a tough out, man. Right? I mean, you've seen it.
No doubt.
If he gets 3 or 4 days to dig into the film, he'll have a game plan now.
Yeah, he's one of those guys for sure. Centennial, as they have been all year, led by Dusty Williams with 13 points, Patrick Garrett with 10, Ravenwood, Rex Gaynor, who you mentioned earlier, 18 in a losing cause. And by the way, they needed to add some games. They added 2 with Loretta.
They should have called you. That wasn't the one.
Well, Coach Whitlock saw him play at the Franklin Christmas tournament because they were in it too, and he's like, "Oh man, we might be in trouble having to drive all the way."
I thought
there.
they were getting the girls. They are. But.
Yes, also boys. All right, Summit. Here's one I attended on Friday night. 2 heavyweights battling it out. Summit, and I wrote the score down wrong there, but Dixon 53, Summit 49. Dixon ekes out a 4-point win. It really may be the first game I've watched this year where I thought that could be the district championship game.
Dixon Summit?
Dixon Summit.
Maybe.
I'm not saying they're going to be, but it felt that way, the way the teams were playing. And there's some other games I'm sure that have happened that felt that way too. I'm not saying they're definitely going to be in the championship, but it felt like that kind of game. And by the way, Summit was playing that game without Keaton Wade. You think he makes a difference?
No, I did not know that part.
Yeah.
Yes, he makes a difference. Because I was going to say, I was very impressed with Dixon. Summit's playing better now. They had been on about a 9-game win streak, 10-game win streak, something like that. And it was tied like with 27 seconds left or something.
Yeah. And the clock was out, by the way.
Oh, that's great. That's
for like the last quarter, and they're having to announce there's 35 seconds left. It was a little bit.
How'd you like to be the poor guy having to do that?
Oh, it was a nightmare.
Yeah.
I've been involved in a couple of those. One was at Laverne when Barry Wortman was coaching. It was a big game. Knowing Barry, he probably did it on purpose.
No, there's no
and
question.
the whole game they're announcing.
And then he blamed it on Jeremy Moore or Vossi.
So it's a nightmare. It is.
Yeah, I didn't know that part, but Dixon's obviously really good. They've got 1 loss, and that was the NBA, who they don't think they played real well against. And NBA, by the way, beat Innsworth, so NBA's pretty good.
Yeah, they're playing well too.
But what I liked about it was, for the Dixon part, was that's a tough team they had to grind that out against to get a win. Now, yes, Keaton Wade will make a difference. I think you think it too. They're so long, so athletic, so explosive. They're just going to keep getting better and better. I would not want to see Summit in the tournament.
And they're still
championship.
Right. They're still figuring Coach Fay out, and he's figuring them out too. So to me, that makes their ceiling even higher than most in that
for sure
it's not a guy that's been there for a long time.
For sure.
Summit also earlier in the week with a 42-39 win over Page. Page has lost 4 district games, 3 points or less. They were led by Mason Allen on that particular night with 12, Jamie Hernandez with 11. And I mentioned Indy and Ravenwood. Oh, let's throw Page in there.
Yep.
Tell him what he's won, Johnny. You're the 2 seed or the 3 seed. You got Page.
And they very well could pick somebody off.
Or they could be 7, really. How would you like to play them if they're number 7 or 8?
Yep.
That'd be tough. Franklin 76, Spring Hill 43. Very much a get-well game. They had lost two in a row during the week. Franklin had lost at a really good Dixon County by 18, and then they lose to Cane Ridge on Thursday night, 94-88. Reed Kemp, 44 points against Cane Ridge, 15 of 18 from the field. Now listen to this. These are gaudy numbers. A 9 of 11 from 2, 6 for 7 from 3, 8 for 9 from the free throw line, and oh, by the way, 5 assists. Matt Thurman, the second half of Stockton and Malone,
30
scores 30. 74 points for those 2 guys.
Yeah. Is anybody playing better than Reed Kemp right now?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Unless something happens, he's the MVP of the league.
He is on fire.
He just is.
On fire. Fun to watch, man.
In the Spring Hill game, Reed also scored 23 on 10 of 13 shoot. He just doesn't miss much.
No.
14 points, 11 rebounds for Thurman. Aiden Smiley, 9 points and 9 rebounds. Taylor Spirito, kind of the glue guy for them,
Yep.
10 points, 3 assists. Now, let's talk AA. Oh, and I did want to mention this. It was pretty neat, and I'll ask him about this on the coaches show this week. But Tigert goes back to Dixon, and those kids they've got signs with his picture and the word upgrade on there, and then the new coach. And Tigert loved it.
Of course
he loved those kids. He's taking pictures with them after the game, so it was all in good fun. But I know he really loves those kids at Dixon, but very happy to be at Franklin High School.
No doubt about it.
And we're very happy to
And
have
the
him.
cool thing is regardless of where he was going to have a really good team. And so love to see them match up again. But Reed Kemp, if you haven't gone to see him, you need to go see him. He's on fire, man. 30, 23, 44.
Unreal. Unreal. To
fun to
me,
watch.
what's so impressive is he just doesn't miss much.
No. And the thing I loved about it is on the night he went 33, he only shot 18 field goals.
It's incredible.
It's not like Kobe where he's shooting 76 times and getting,
Incredible. Double A. Let's talk Fairview. Fairview girls 1-1 in district play last week. 60-29 loss versus Creekwood on Tuesday. They bounced back with a 53-43 win on Friday over Stewart County. And you talked about this before. 8-10 overall, but 5-2 in the league. You compared them a little bit to Centennial in that losing, and all of a sudden now they're blossoming and having a really great season.
5-2, man.
5-2 in the league.
They're in the top 2 or 3 of the district. I mean, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, I'm feeling a home game from them.
Home game.
In the tournament. Kelsey Gossage against Creekwood, 13 points, 5 rebounds. Anastasia Byerly, 7 points and 5 blocks in the Stewart County game. Casey Mullins, 15 points. Kelsey Gossage, 11 points, 9 rebounds. On the boys' side, a little bit tougher week for Fairview. They came in undefeated in the league, 5-0. They dropped 2 games to 2 of the top teams in the league, in all fairness. They lose to Creekwood, 67-56, and then to Stewart County, 57-51. Bill Eads joins the 1,000-point club out at Fairview, so congratulations to you, Bill.
That's big.
5-2 overall. So they're both still 5-2 in the league.
Well, when you lose the amount of firepower that the Fairview boys lost from last year, it's going to take a little time,
No doubt.
But they're right there in it. They know how to win. Those are 2 of the better teams. Those are the 3, right? That we're probably going to be talking about come the end of the year. So I don't think it's any time to pull the alarm on Fairview. They lost 2 tough games to 2 good teams. See them again.
Nolensville, great week for both teams. The Nolensville girls ranked 10th in the last AA state poll. Started off league play 2-0 with wins over Giles County, 67-51. Murfreesboro Central, 51-23. On Tuesday night, Parker listen to these stats.
Yeah.
Parker Leftwich, 19 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 steals. And she sold some popcorn too. Grace Baird, 17 points. Zoe Pillar, 9 points, 8 rebounds. 12-4 overall, 2-0 in the league. And I think the challenge really for Nolensville is to stay interested. They're going to win a lot of games in that league by a big margin.
Yeah, and here's the thing I love. This shows.
Nice problem to have, by the way.
Goes to show you how good the team is. They score 67 points, and Zoe Pillar scores 9. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This team is good. They got a lot of firepower. I think you called it at the beginning of the year. I don't think they're going to have a problem staying interested. And isn't it funny? That goes to show you how many teams are in 11 AAA. But look at that. They've only played 2 district games.
Yeah.
That's how many district games are in 11 AAA.
It's
Most
incredible.
of the rest of the state plays like this. District doesn't start till after Christmas.
Nolensville boys also 2-0 last week, 74-69 over Giles County, 61-36 over Murfreesboro Central. Bryson Harris in that game Friday night, 16 points on 4 threes. Davin Watkins, 11. Again, only 6 and 9 overall. Played a great schedule.
Great schedule.
But Coach DeGaule's got the team playing well, 2-0 in the league, and now that it really matters, you're going to see Nolensville rack up the wins.
That Murfreesboro Central win had to have been very gratifying for them after last year. That was, I know they like to get that one. And again, you're right, 2-0 in the district. It's going to be hard to keep them out of Murfreesboro.
All right, Tate, let's look at our Tuesday and Friday games, some games that maybe stick out. Friday night is going to be the WCTV game of the week, Ravenwood at Franklin. What about Tuesday night? That first one stands out to you, doesn't it?
Big time.
Talk about that a little bit.
Franklin, Brentwood.
At Franklin, right?
How many times did they go at it last year? 4
times.
And the Brentwood took the first one this year. Brentwood's undefeated in league play, 7-0, sitting at the top. We mentioned playing really, really well, and they just believe they're going to win. Now, we also mentioned Reed Kemp probably playing better than anybody in 11 AAA. It's at Franklin. You got to think it's going to be a packed house. Those crowds last year were unbelievable. So I would recommend you get there during the girls' game if you want a good seat. If not, you might be peeping in through the window. But I mean, I don't know. That's a tough one. You know, I mean, I can see it going either way. But Brentwood just keeps finding ways to win. So that's going to be a really, really fun one to watch for sure.
Friday night, obviously the Ravenwood-Franklin game's a big one. That's why it's our WCTV game of the week. But one that stands out, boys and girls, Brentwood at Dixon.
Yes, for sure. That's going to be a big one.
That's a huge game. Brentwood wins that girls' game,
it's over. And it might already
Well, maybe not because you got Page too. Let's don't throw Page out yet.
Page has one loss.
But Dixon will be out.
Right? They have one loss.
Yes, to Brentwood.
That's right. Hey, a little WMAA nugget, though. Here's my problem with the Franklin-Brentwood game. That's the Woodland-Grassland game. Oh, wow. Woodland, to my knowledge, is undefeated.
Undefeated. Coach Lynn tearing it up.
Coach Lynn, he's pulled out his inner Dennis King. You know, he coached for him at way back. He started off at Brentwood Middle with the legend. You want to talk about the legend, Mickey Johnson, and also helped Dennis King. But anyways, you know, Thompson Station's really good. Grassland's really good. Brentwood Mill's really good.
Right.
But Woodland is sitting atop, undefeated. My son wants to go to that one at 7 o'clock, so I'm torn. I got a feeling I might end up.
Maybe you can catch a little bit of both.
I might end up over at Volunteer Drive, 1500 Volunteer Drive to watch the Warriors. That's going to be a great game. I'm telling you, if you haven't gone and seen Thompson Station,
these good teams,
Grassland or Brentwood Middle, and I'm assuming Woodland, it's some high-level basketball.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Tate, it's great to have you back. We'll get more formal since you weren't here last week.
Yeah, man, I'm glad to be back. And
Dr. Qualls did a great job subbing, though.
He's a basketball.
Don't call him a guru.
Savant.
Wanna be.
No, man, he knows a lot about. Basketball's his deal.
It is.
That's his. What do you call that? That's
his go-to.
His go-to for sure. That and drone racing.
Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time on Sports Connection.